Hello, I want to talk to you about the myth of revocable versus irrevocable trusts. This is something that gets a lot of people tripped up, and we really need to take that apart. My name is James, I'm the founder of Trust Art, and so we'll just go through this here for a couple of minutes. And that is, I'm going to break it down between revocable and irrevocable, and I'm going to talk about the different types of trust and then what you can do to follow that all up. Revocable, if we go to the dictionary and look up revocable, what does that mean? That means that you can take it back, you can take it apart, it's not permanent. It's something that you change, you've got flexibility with. Now if we add two letters, IR, then we get irrevocable. So what's irrevocable? That means it's permanent, that means it's done, it's over. That's what our permanent intentions are. Now let's go to the different trusts. Okay, so you got living trust, you got business trust, you got real estate investment trust, you get charitable trust. In the situation with the living trust, by default, those are all revocable. That means you can take them apart, you can take them back anytime you want to. But once you die and you're 6 feet under, then they become irrevocable. You can't change anything, once you're buried in the ground. There's the revocable living trust. Now you can make them irrevocable, while you're alive. But the reasons that you might do that, make them irrevocable while you're alive, would be, say, for instance, a charitable trust, which is part of how you do things with the living trust, which is giving money away or giving assets away, appreciated assets, going to the church, going to some foundation as a legacy. But those are tax sensitive issues. And so, now that starts getting into some other issues, but that's the reason that those are irrevocable. Now, the other reason you might do an irrevocable for your living trust, well, say for instance, that you've got some family issues. Everybody does. They say it's not about the money, but it always is. So there's conflicts. So what you do is that you would make, whoever it is that you have that confidence in, say it's your sister-in-law, and that she's responsible with money, she's gonna handle everything right. So then what you would do is you would make an irrevocable living trust, and then you would identify her in all the paperwork. So the kids could fight and they could challenge all of it, but you'd have that set up. Now here's the other situation irrevocable really comes into play. So say for instance you're getting older and your mind is going, you got some medical problems, you're not sure what's going to happen, and you need somebody to speak for you. So by doing that irrevocable, now you've got that locked in. And the other thing about an irrevocable living trust, I forgot to mention here, is that when you change it to irrevocable, now you get that asset protection because you've given those assets away. Now, the trustee, whoever that is, that's a separate issue altogether, but just the fact that you've made it irrevocable, does give you a certain amount of asset protection. Now, here's the other types of trusts that are automatically irrevocable, and those are business trusts, those are real estate investment trusts, those are designed to do business, so you wouldn't want to revoke those. So those are permanent. You set them up to run and let them go. One of the questions that comes up, well, say I do an irrevocable living trust, could I get out of it somehow or another? Well, there are ways. If you haven't transferred any specific assets into it, you could just tear it up and be done with it, start fresh. Now, here's another way that you can do it, and this is the word they use is decant. You've probably heard this before. So what happens is that the assets that you put into that irrevocable trust, you would deed them out, you would transfer them out. So then what you have is an empty trust, there's nothing in it. So yeah, it's irrevocable and it's all set in stone, but there's nothing left in it, so what the heck? Anyhow, that's another aspect of irrevocable trust. The other thing about irrevocable with respect to the business and so on, and that is that you do get that asset protection in the sense that the assets that are in there are set in stone. They can't take them back. You can't unravel it and have that go back to the individuals that set that up, so that you've got that protection with that business trust. The trustees, the beneficiaries, they each have separate roles and separate responsibilities and benefits that come with it. You also get the bankruptcy protection. See, if you had a revocable business trust, how can you file a bankruptcy? It's just not part of it. So when we do the business trust, we make those irrevocable by default. So you get those liability protection, you get the limited liability, you get the separation of assets, and then you also get that bankruptcy protection in the event that possibly you need it. You don't know. So there's the difference between revocable and irrevocable. Now you can't always amend your trust. So if you did a revocable living trust, you could always change it later on to irrevocable. Like I was talking about, you're getting older and maybe there's some mental, some mind issues and stuff like that. So that's pretty much it, guys. Revocable versus irrevocable. Don't get scared about it. Take it apart, think about it. There are different ways that you can do these things, and just use your common sense. All right, that's all. All right, see you guys. Bye.